From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. In the studio today, we have an opportunity to speak to the Honorable Minister for Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage about the Christmas greetings from Cayman coming up next Saturday, and we're going to tell you about it. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. And thanks so much for joining us as we truly have a chance to share the Christmas spirit and invite you to not only put forward a good foot and a good face, but to look within your heart and open your hands and extend that warm, wonderful Cayman Christmas greeting as we enjoy that Christmas breeze. Join us, the Honorable Minister for Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage, Mr. Bernie Bush. You know,
and Home Affairs.
And you know what? Let me try to behave and show deference to
No, don't bring that. Don't bring that. It's just that I get reprimanded.
Yes, sir.
If I do something with Home Affairs and I don't mention Youth, Sports, Culture, and Heritage.
So if you do, that'll be.
They reprimand me. So I have to they keep reminding me you have two ministries.
Yes, sir. I you know what? And I know better. And since we were focused on culture, I should be inclusive. And
make me tell you, I've been blessed with two awesome ministries. And awesome ministry staff.
Indeed. And thank you, I know, as a former civil servant, you know, yourself, the former director of sports and the like, to recognizing how not just invaluable the contribution of our civil servants, but the tireless efforts, their undying service to the country. It's amazing. With that, we welcome the chief officer.
You should see them trying to teach me how to dress. They have some work on their hands.
Yeah, you want me to be? All I can think about is the evenings when leaving civil aviation and you picking up a young fellow heading home and making a stop.
Remember that, eh?
Yeah, I remember that. But we got him home safely though, just so you.
I'm really glad to hear that. Thank you very much, Sterling, for having us here. Although the minister rightfully highlighted that he's responsible for Home Affairs, Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage for the benefit of today. Mm-hmm. The focus is on the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage. Mm-hmm. And we want to take this opportunity before we speak about the event that we have upcoming and planned for to, on behalf of the entire ministry, to wish everyone in the Cayman Islands a very safe and Merry Christmas when it comes. But indeed, we are extremely excited about an event that we have planned and is scheduled on the 18th, and want to take this opportunity to share that with the listening audience today.
Well, Chief Officer, thank you very much for that, because I think, there is something particular about Cayman and Cayman at Christmas, and to feel that Christmas breeze, to understand the celebrations that we have, the fun, the food, the fellowships, and the family togetherness. So this event, I think, gives us a chance to appreciate more than ever where we live, the time in which we live, and the importance of coming together, showing love and respect as we honor each other, and wish them, as you shared, safe, healthy, happy, prosperous, life ahead. So I'm glad that we have the Honorable Minister with us. I think nobody shows such an appreciation for life as the Honorable Minister has to date. And looking at him, you wouldn't know that he's still not a member of the national team, playing football and keeping the team on track.
I actually tried to make the geriatric team the other day and I failed.
You notice why I didn't come, right?
But despite that fact that he might not be a part of any particular sporting team, we are absolutely blessed to have him as the leader and as a part of our ministry team. And definitely the passion is there, that is equal to our passion for these subject areas. And I think that, again, the event that we're going to speak about today will reflect how appreciative we are of the Cayman culture and of our young and established, some young, some upcoming, but some are very established entrepreneurs that's in our community as well. So you're absolutely right when you say, Christmas time is always special for us. It has special memories, I think, for every one of us. And so it is about pulling on these pieces and using this event to remind the people in the Cayman Islands how blessed we are, and truly that we have so much to be thankful for. What better way to close off 2021 for us than having a celebration of this nature. So again, we're looking forward to sharing the details with you.
Well, certainly, very, very excited to share with you, to invite the public to understand that, Christmas isn't just about, the giving of gifts. It's the fellowship. It's the reminder for those of us with great respect, through prayer and petition and meditation and a concerted effort, to be thankful, to be able to draw alongside. And I think the Cayman Islands in particular have always celebrated that spirit of Christmas almost all year. But for those 2 weeks, from between Christmas Eve and right after New Year's, we've been festive. Honorable Minister, this particular event, I think, speaks highly to what we are as a community, and asking people to come out to be supportive of the entrepreneurs and artisans, but also come in fellowship.
Yes, it's due to the fact that I think we would have probably had it anyway, but due to the fact that Pirates Week was postponed because at that time the spike, because we were doing so much testing, that the COVID rates was going up, but praise be to God, they're dropping down rapidly now, and we're still running the same amount of tests, which shows that things are falling in praise. And like I said, praise be to God.
Amen.
But this is a chance for people to come out, practice safe. We keep on insisting, wear your mask. Even though outside is not as imperative as when you're inside. But keep your distance, make sure you keep on washing your hands, little things. But you come out and there's a lot of young people. They had something similar to this last Saturday night at the Elizabethan Square, and I was very impressed. And I do hope that people will come out, look around. Sometimes it's the simplest of gifts that end up meaning the most.
Yeah.
Right, and some of these things that these artists and the things that they paint, things that they make, I really hope people come out and look at the work that will be there. But one of the most important things is to get to see old friends.
That's it.
Just to see old friends. And when you look that people have, I guess the whole world has been under the strain with this COVID, with this pandemic, the amount of mental situations we're having, people now being tired mentally and physically. You need things like this to just let your hair down and get out there and enjoy themselves. And to have it finish that night with one of my favorite things is a good fireworks display. And the only thing that could be better than that if I got a chance to ride in a ladder truck on the fire truck. That's just been all the years I was in charge of Pirates Week. It's the one thing that I always asked for was to ride in the ladder truck. I don't know why the child in me does come out when it comes to that fire truck.
Always, yeah.
Yes, so it's that and fireworks. So I'm happy to know, and bring your children out. Make them just enjoy themselves. You don't have to be all congested in town. One thing good about our displays, you can stay along the whole waterfront and see it. You can stay down by Burger King. You can stay down by Lobster Pot. Even though we want you to come in to look at the artwork, look at the entrepreneurs, what they're selling. But once you do that, if you don't want to stay in the crowd, you can spread out to watch the firework display. So it's going to be a beautiful evening. And we intend to do more of these things throughout each district, throughout the year. Yeah. This won't be just a one-off thing, because building the nation through the community is something that we've adopted, and so it starts in the community. Yeah. And this is just the beginning of this is just a warm-up.
Well, this is as we come back from this break, we can talk about it, because the Georgetown waterfront in particular, there's something spectacular about it, more so than ever. But it harkens back to those days that we've heard from our parents and grandparents with the schooners coming ashore. That's why I think celebrate, the whole idea of Pirates Week and the landing that day was reminiscent for some.
The chief officer and myself too young to remember that.
I'll tell you the stories about it later, But I appreciate it. I know she can get away with it. That's for sure. But let's pause. We'll take this break. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion with Honorable Minister and Chief Officer relative to the Christmas greetings from Cayman next Saturday on the waterfront. We'll tell you more. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Savannah Pharmacy. Shop local and get a head start on your Christmas shopping. For ladies' handbags, clothes, shoes, fragrance, candles, and cosmetics with the newest Farmhouse Fresh line of skincare. For the gentlemen, clothes, shoes, fragrances, gift sets, and toys and games for the kids. Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs. And convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
A friendly holiday reminder. You can WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045. That's 929-5045.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Between December 1st to the 20th, CUC subcontractors will be conducting aggressive tree trimming between 9 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. Mondays to Fridays on Bordentown Road from Cherry Tree Drive in Breakers to the junction of Frank Sound Road and on a number of roads on Frank Sound Road. Motorists should exercise caution due to temporary lane blockages. For more information, contact 949-5200 or email service@cuc.ky or treetrimming@cuc.ky.
Watch and listen to win big this Christmas with a Digicel Prime bundle. Stream all the music you want in the music. Binge Christmas movies in PlayGo. Watch NBA games in Sportsmax, all while on the go without using any of your data. That's more entertainment, more data, plus more chances to win from thousands of prizes. Enter to win the grand prizes of $10,000 cash, $5,000 cash, or a Digicel family pack with 4 smartphones and free service for a year. Claim your guaranteed prize every Saturday. Buy a 7-day Prime Plus bundle for $20 today. Digicel, better together this Christmas.
Prospect residents are invited to a free vaccination clinic by the Honorable Minister for Health and Wellness, Ms. Sabrina Turner, Thursday, December 9th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at her constituency office at number 33 Marina Drive, Prospect. For more information on the vaccination clinic, call 746-9314.
All persons aged 18 and over are now eligible to receive booster shots 3 months after their second COVID-19 vaccination. The reduction in wait time for the booster is a precaution as we enter the holiday season in light of the recent development of the Omicron COVID-19 variant. Public health officials around the globe agree vaccines are our best defense against COVID-19. Visit the HSA website for the latest vaccination clinic schedule.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And if you're ever in the good company of the Honorable Minister for Youth, Sports, Culture, Heritage and Home Affairs, you know two things. You know, a man has an untiring love for country and a certain strong desire to elevate the history, the heritage, the culture, the people. And to be joined by, you know, the acumen of the Chief Officer, Ms. Teresa Echenike, well, we can see that this particular event next Saturday is going to not only epitomize what we want, you know, for the Cayman Christmas and Cayman Christmas at this time. Chief Officer, for those who are listening, you know, it's only been a few hours and they're going to come and they're going to go, wow, why couldn't this be all day long, you know, every weekend? It's going to be great. So share with us, Mom.
Yes, indeed, we would have loved to have it for the entire day, and it would have been more than enough activities. But we also appreciate the time of the year. Mm-hmm. People are really, really busy. And we felt as a event for the closing of 2021, let's take a couple hours and truly highlight some of our local musicians, some of our artists, give people the opportunity to come out and buy their last minute Christmas presents, some local products that is readily available. And so we will be hosting this event from 4 to 8 on the 18th of December. And as Minister indicated prior to going on break, it will be open air. It will be, the roads will be closed to accommodate us. And we are encouraging persons to maintain social distancing, to wear their mask, despite the fact that it is open air. And we will have sanitizers at all of the booths and ensure that there is a level of safety in this process. But again, it gives us the opportunity to come out, enjoy. There's just so much stuff that the team has prepared for us that it's going to be enjoyable for all ages. So it's truly a family event. There's no restrictions in terms of age groups or anything. I think one of the exciting pieces about this is the variety of entertainment that we also have coming out, because we have the musicians that we are very much familiar with. But one of the highlights for me is also one young lady that I think maybe 14 that will be singing with the band called Heat. And that's Maya Groves. And one of the minister's priorities in our Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage is just that, identifying and helping our young people and our talents to continue to grow and continue to develop. And I think that this is a perfect opportunity to highlight that particular priority that he has within our ministry. But that's just one of those. I mean, we have the Dream Chasers that will be there. We have John Canoe that's going to be there. We have the Seventh-day Adventist Choir that's going to be there, the National Youth Choir. And of course, as Minister indicated earlier on, it is the fireworks. Everybody always loves to see the fireworks and to come out and truly enjoy that. But it also gives the opportunity for us to enjoy some of our local food. So we will have vendors there as well, and people can enjoy those local dishes. Sterling, it is a couple hours that is jam-packed with entertainment, excitement, good vibes. So we encourage the entire family to come out, to be with us, to celebrate the upcoming Christmas season, but for also, just for us to say, it's been good despite the challenges of COVID. We are a blessed people, and we have a lot to be thankful for.
My only instruction to everybody that's singing, I want upbeat music. I want music, Christian music, whatever music, I want it popping. That's my only request. I don't want nobody there singing no slow. I want the place to be upbeat and happy and joyous, celebrating. We've just gone through another hurricane season with Jah having his hand over us. We have been blessed once again. This COVID pandemic, Cayman is also a blessed place. So all these things, I want it to be a fun evening. I want it to be an upbeat evening to everybody to come out and say, know something, we are a blessed nation again.
Amen.
We're still a blessed nation, still one of the best places in the world. It has to be. Over 150 or 60 different nationalities here, and doesn't seem that anybody wants to go back to where they come from. So that means that this place is a beautiful country. It's a beautiful place to be. And our aim now is to make it that Caymanians don't want to leave. We want to make sure our people start to realize what we have here, and we appreciate and we build what we have here. And that's why, like what the chief officer said, I remember in charge of Parish Week, and I give King his first time to perform on the main stage, young man, and he was so nervous, and he had the words in his hand. He knew the song, but still had the words in, and stood up during the whole song, singing things off the paper. It was something to watch. The young man is now performing in England, and like I said, talent. And you and I have discussed this. Cayman has been a graveyard for sports and the arts. I will do my best to stop making it be that. We have to, like I said, identify talent and then help develop it and help it reach where it needs to go. And this is just the beginning. This is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just a warm-up. And I've had other people say, but why so short? You walk before you run. We test ourselves on this small event. Or this is not small, but 4 hours. But you test it and you see, now we will take away and we will do a post-mortem on this, that when February comes and we do another one, or whenever we do another one right round the road, we will know the mistakes that we made and what our strengths are, and we'll go that way. And we'll know how to bring, because like I was saying off air, we used to have this thing in town, God bless his memory, Greg from Hopscotch, Miss Brighton, Carol Brighton, who works in the government building, and myself, we used to organize this thing in town once a week, and it was called Grassroots, a grass piece, and artists would come out, they'd make us know they're coming, they'd plug in, you're given, if you want to do poetry, if you want to do music, and we paid for the PA systems, and we would allow 2 or 3 different vendors to come every time, charge nothing to them, they set up and they'd make some money. Then the next time we would have 2 or 3 different vendors who you make a list and you make them know you're coming at this time. And it was started to take off, and then I left Pirates Week then and went on to politics. But those are the type of things we intend to bring back. That if you're an up-and-coming artist and you come to us and says, I want to perform, okay, we have the system there. You come in, you plug in, and you play a song, and hopefully, I don't know if people watch there's a show that goes on someplace in New York, that when the people are performing, if you're performing real good, they give you big applause, and if you're really bad, like I would be, they wipe you off the stage. I don't know if we'll get to something like that. We don't know if we'll go that far to chase people off the stage, but we want to give young people that want to come out and do poetry, they want to come out and to sing or whatever. So we have to put avenues for them where it doesn't cost them, because when you talk to the various people, they said no one will give them a chance or they can't get a break. And there's a lot of people, if you make certain little choirs, if you go to the Festival of the Arts that it used to be, even though it's been watered down, we intend to work very closely with schools to bring that back. We will have, there's talent on this island in the arts, Sterling.
Yeah,
and where the island is blessed, I think we have a chief officer that is just as passionate, if not more, than most of us who love it about these things. I mean, I wish there's one place where she goes, I keep telling her that she must come out of that, but I will not. The sad part about it, I've seen them perform twice lately, and I've enjoyed them. She is a member of the folk singers, and I keep telling her, they're singing these old. But I had to say, I was clapping my hands at the last time they performed at the Heart Grill, so they're starting to win me over.
Yeah, man. But it's something that you shared, public and private, the idea of nation building starts from just like a business having an incubator where you can get a business nurtured off the ground. You provide these avenues,
correct,
in your homes, your churches, your schools, where you develop the talent. You acknowledge it, you nurture it, you encourage it, you showcase it, and then that goes from your national boundaries to international celebration, right? So this is fine, man.
Like, you listen to some of the church choirs here we have in Cayman. I've been blessed to have been invited to a few churches. I remember 2 years ago, Kenneth and myself was invited to, that's Minister Brian from the Minister of Tourism, to something at the Adventist Church. And these choirs performed. I remember when Brother Johnson passed away and they had his funeral at the Lion Center. The music that his wife and her family had chosen was awesome. And it had me, I actually found myself standing and clapping, something I don't usually do. And I said to myself, wow, there is so much things like that in the country that we don't highlight it. All we do is sit down and try to find reasons to put things in the way of these things. Well, but between myself and the chief officer, believe you me, there will be a lot of these things.
Yeah, man. Well, when we come back from this short break, Chief Officer, I invite you to share with us, because I mean, as a public, this is a wonderful event. It's the weekend, before Christmas, great time to get gifts, but to come out and get into the festive mood, to be mindful. There's something about the waterfront. There's something about the smell and taste of the salt air, and it does something for you.
The one thing you're missing is the smell of apples and grapes. As little young fellas growing up, we walk into my father's store in West Bay, or if you're in town, you come out of school, you walk into Byrite, or you walk into Comart, Cheryl McPhee and everything. You smell apples. It's something, for some reason, that and rain beating on a zinc roof is some things that, as our age group, we tend not to forget.
You mean you, not a chief officer?
No, she's too young.
Yeah. Maybe
she's too young. But it's something, like I said, and when you say about that waterfront, having had my office there when I was in charge of Pirates Week, Dwayne, you're right. It's something about, and what I wish a lot of people would do, would just go there some nights on the waterfront and just sit and watch the port people work, even that hair in the Clyde. It is something relaxing, especially on a beautiful night, whether the sea's a little choppy or the water is smooth. It is an awesome place, that waterfront. And once again, we take it for granted. I heard a young lady sit in Parliament, a young parliamentarian, tell us about how her grandmother and her mother was not born here, but her grandmother came here and brought her mother here as a little girl. Then her mother had her, and she says her grandmother would take her every Sunday after church, and the two of them would go up on the head of Barkas and sit down. And now you would say that the little girl is a first-generational Caymanian, because the mother wasn't born here and the grandmother wasn't born here, but the family had been here over 40 years. And to hear this young first-generation Caymanian talk about, that is her memory. This is a little 16-year-old talking about the head of Barkas. Every Sunday after church, they would go there first before they go home and eat. And I'm saying to myself, I know that. I've been there. You've been there. Why is it that we, us so-called generational, we take all of these things for granted? And so these are the things that Chief Officer and myself and the staff, and believe me, you see the two of us sitting here, there's a very good staff behind us. Make me tell you, definitely. So, and the thing about it, the staff, they've had to grow thick skin, because I tease them. If I come in and I want to see a smile, so I'm going to pick at them as usual, as my style. And I'm so fortunate to have some to give it back, which is what I like. But they are very capable, and I strongly feel they all are just as passionate as the two of us, and that helps when people. It's not just a job. They're not going through the motions. They want to make it good, and that's a good thing.
Right, and this is where I think we're going to be able to see it. All right, we've got a quick break to take. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion, so we invite you to stay tuned.
We may be in Christmas shopping mode, but 'tis the flu season too. Savannah Pharmacy has immune system boosters for the entire family with a range of vitamins and supplements. Their knowledgeable and courteous pharmacists are always available to offer the best advice and products. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
A friendly holiday reminder. You can WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045. That's 929-5045.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
You can now register online to receive a securely verified digital copy of your COVID-19 vaccination status with QR code through the MyHSA patient portal. Sign up is available online and at all HSA locations. All you need is your photo ID showing date of birth and an email address. Visit hsa.ky and click the My HSA patient portal icon to get started.
The technology sector is forecast to be one of the fastest growing industries in the next decade, with more jobs available than skilled people to fill them. Enterprise Cayman is helping to fill this void and grow the next generation of Caymanian innovators, giving young people access to high-quality learning experiences with the opportunity to pursue careers in technology and innovation sectors. Learn to code, how product development works, enter professional competitions, access high-tech resources, network with special economic zone industry professionals, and much, much more. Visit enterprisecayman.ky to find out more. Brought to you by Cayman Enterprise City. Are you seeking a job in the hospitality industry? Discover over 200 opportunities such as food and beverage, culinary, and pool and beach attendant at the Tourism Job Fair on Thursday, 9th of December from 1 until 4 p.m. at the Governor's Ballroom at the Westin Grand Cayman, 7 Mile Beach Resort. Attend the job fair with a copy of your current resume in hand to speak directly with employers at some of the largest and most popular hotels and restaurants. Registration ahead of time is required. Register at jobfair.ourcayman.ky. Take the next steps to finding your next job.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks so much for joining us as we have the Honorable Minister for Youth, Sports, Culture, Heritage, and Home Affairs, Mr. Werner Bush, together with Chief Officer and Minister responsible for Culture and Heritage, Chief Officer Teresa Etsinike. You know, I'm looking forward to next Saturday evening, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. on the waterfront. The artisans, the artists, the local food, the fun, the fellowship, and the families that come together. And, you know, from the music, Chief Officer, the notion that we get to showcase and celebrate. But for some of us to see for the first time the incredible talent that the Minister has, you know, reminded us exists, that we take for granted, that we don't sometimes appreciate, is homegrown. And this is, I think, timely, especially this event that we've sort of endured for the last 2 years, but especially at Christmas now, right, Minister?
Yes, the pandemic has not been easy. Make me tell you, personally, knowing, you know who I am, you know how much people, especially the younger generation, talk to me. And I'm telling you, this thing has put a lot of stress and strain on a lot of people across the board.
And their relations with each other and stuff.
Aye. I mean, I heard the Deputy Premier say something the other day. A man has been married for 16 years, and it took the pandemic for him to find out his wife couldn't cook. When I heard that one, all I could do was smile. And there's another case where a man said that this was the best thing that ever happened to his marriage. That him and his wife know each other so much better now after being married for many years, having kids. So it has that part of it, but on a serious side, there's been a lot of stress on people. And if this is one of the little stress relievers that we can use, and in doing this, we also get for people to see. I want people to come out and see some of the artwork. Mm-hmm. I went to the National Gallery about 2 weeks ago. There's some artwork down there, and I saw people walk in and write some checks to buy a piece of artwork. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying to myself, my God, the artwork is so beautiful. But for some reason, we have to find a way to get the message out there, get people in. Or sometimes, if the mountain won't come to Muhammad, Muhammad will go to the mountain. We have to, and that is the challenge that myself and the chief officer have talked a few times. We need to, we have to let people know what we have. Mm-hmm. People don't know, because I'm sure if they went out one time and just saw some of the paintings, some of the, like when you look at the work that the guy made down there, there's one piece in particular that I fell in love with. Honestly, if I had money, nobody would have got a chance to even look at it. It's a turtle, and on top of the turtle sits Miss Lass's house. Yeah. Oh, it's a replica. You can't, I mean, that piece, it's... Then there was another piece with a guy fishing that caught a soldier crab. And the soldier crab is bigger than him, actually. And those are the type of things that you see how these artists think outside their mind. At the National Gallery, there's those old thatch baskets made from glass, like a glass-looking thing. It's unbelievable the way. And if you sit down and ask the artist, is a young Caymanian artist too, how they made this. And these are the things that we're trying to highlight. Yeah. When you come out to this, you'll have some young people there selling some of the little things, trinkets that they make and so forth, that usually you see this thing, it says made in China. A lot of this stuff you see made someplace else. But we have young people doing the same thing, and it's just as good. Come out and look at it.
Or better.
Or better.
Yeah. And I think that's, as you share that, that's the notion that sometimes we don't see because we're not looking. We don't come out and introduce ourselves to it because we don't think it exists, and then we're amazed. And even those of us who may see it often. Ali Banks had an exhibition not long ago, and his space in town itself is worthy of just seeing, and how he's divided that up, art gallery, residence. It's incredible. And here is somebody that if he was in any other part of the world would probably be celebrated greatly. The Ray Bankers of the world as well. Are we mindful?
Is Ray that Redskin West Bay boy?
Yeah, that's
yes, he has one piece. On a serious note, he has one piece of artwork that I think is one of the best pieces. The Milo can with the marbles in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
We can all relate to that. I mean, Milo, 1 cup in the morning as you get up, 1 cup before you go to bed at night. And when that can finish, you found pennies in it, or you find marbles in it, or you find nails in it. The Milo can was a whole all for almost everything. Not in the back though, they use Ovaltine.
Post them.
But Sterling, one of the things that I want to highlight about the event on the 18th is we're not only encouraging people to come out and buy their last minute Christmas presents, but we're also giving away items.
Yes.
So we have a lot of giveaways that we will be doing throughout the evening. And again, it is coming out and just enjoying the talent that is there. We are encouraging persons. There's just a small piece of paper that will be provided to people. We're asking people to fill it in and give it back to us because we're really curious of an outstanding memory. Minister spoke about the smell of apples and grapes. that's a fond memory for me. I'm not as old as he is, but nonetheless,
very few people are.
Yeah, nonetheless, it is a memory that I treasure. And so we want to hear about these memories from other people as well. So we will have a section where asking people come by, share that memory with us, and as a part of that process, we will be sharing some of the memories throughout the evening as well. The MCs will be announcing some of those memories, but definitely be there so you can participate in the giveaways. We have so much giveaways.
How do you get a giveaway? How do you win a prize?
Well, when you come, you'll be given a ticket, and it's as simple as
it's
that.
Free.
Yeah.
Just make everything is free.
Everything is free.
Hang on now. The people who are taking part with the booth, we're not charging them anything. We're footing the expense of setting that up. When you come to buy something from them, you pay for it.
Right.
If you want to buy food, you pay for it. But this prize is an executive health checkup donated by Health Center Cayman. That's valued over $600. You have Foster's, Kirk's, Winner's Circle, The Wharf, Grand Ole House, Owley, Diamond Marquee, Cayman Airways, and more, because some more come on board before then. How you win those prizes? You come, and they'll give you a ticket or something.
Yes.
And drop it in. You're winning prizes, and you're not putting in anything. Now, what I should advise him to do is put a jar right next to it and say, donate $1. Then afterward, we can give it to
me.
Yeah, we were thinking somebody old, but you 1 year away from getting it.
So next year then.
Yeah.
Well, Minister, believe it or not, the policy team is having similar thoughts as you. The intent is to have a section where people can make a donation. Again, we recognize and we appreciate not everyone is as fortunate, and so there is a particular organization that the policy team will be reaching out to and making that particular group the recipient of whatever donations we receive. So Minister's thoughts are not far off at all from the policy team. So good minds think alike.
Hang on, good people.
They keep saying that part. Great minds think alike, but they never finish the rest of that sentence, I won't say it on air, but I'll leave it alone. There's a next part to complete that. But I've been over at the LA for the part, going through the budget and the stuff for the last week. So this stuff, the policy team, they've done this. So this is actually, that's why I didn't know they had said that part or whatever. But I will be discussing when we leave here. Possible people, if they make the donations good enough, possible organizations to give it to, and I will make sure it's someone who's well deserving. Just go to or whatever. So but we are blessed, and I think it's time for us to share our blessings with others that may not be as blessed. And like I said, this is just a warm up. You wait until you see next year, God's willing, where we have our own budget to work with, and where we have time to plan. Wait till next year, God's willing.
Yeah, man, but this is, you want to be a part of the inaugural. We do have the news break. I know you have a pressing day. We are mindful of your time. We're certainly willing to extend a few minutes after the break if you so choose and want to go through. But if you need to exit, certainly appreciate it. And we'll continue to promote it between now and next Saturday. On the waterfront, it's the 18th, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Come out. Donovan Minister will be in his element as he is always, man. Most comfortable in sharing and celebrating and showcasing our culture and our heritage.
If the chief officer, I have to go to another function, but the chief officer says, please do me a favor, tell her less photographs.
Please, yeah. We don't want to replace cameras as often as we had in the past.
These people like a photograph, Sterling.
I know so.
But thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure.
Really appreciate it. Yeah. And to Sterling, I'm going to leave it. Somebody was going to trouble. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave it alone.
Stop.
Miss Echenique, to the chief officer, thank you so much for you and your staff for the hard work put into this. And we will try to do our best to make sure that it's a wonderful event. Ask everyone, please come out. Just a couple of hours. Bring your children out. Not just for, but make your children see some of the artwork. You never know, your child may want to do it too. And what is better than your child finding a niche early? This is what I like, than following company that may not be the best company for them to keep. The devil finds work for idle hands to do. So this is just somewhere of your child seeing something, falling in love with it, and make them start to dream.
Yeah, man. Yeah, correct.
Not only the children, Sterling, but we are also inviting the aging population
Of
to come
course.
out as well. We will have seating there for them, so, to avoid them being on their legs for any extensive time, they can grab a seat but still enjoy the music and the activities around them. So it is indeed for the entire family. There are no restrictions in terms of age, and we're looking forward to seeing everyone out on the 18th, 4 to 8.
Well, thank you, Chief Officer and Honourable Minister, and certainly looking forward to what will be a wonderful evening celebration. All right.
Like I said, thanks to the staff for their hard work.
Indeed, sir. All right, let's pause and take a break, and when we come back, we invite you to be, in tune and tuned in. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Cayman Islands 2022-2023 budget was passed in Parliament last night, December 8th, after a week of debate followed by a 2-day Finance Committee deliberation. Deputy Premier and Minister for Finance and Economic Development, Honourable Chris Saunders, presented the Appropriation Financial Years 2022 and 2023 Bill 2021 to Parliament on Friday, November 26th. The next legislative steps are for the Governor to assent to the bill and to gazette it as an act. In international news, China has warned countries who have announced a diplomatic boycott of the Beijing Winter Olympics that they will pay the price for their mistaken acts. The US, UK, Australia, and Canada will not send government representatives to the Games because of concerns over China's human rights record. France, host of the next Summer Games, said it would not join the boycott. The Winter Olympics are set to take place in Beijing in February. New Zealand will ban the sale of tobacco to its next generation in a bid to eventually phase out smoking. Anyone born after 2008 will not be able to buy cigarettes or tobacco products in their lifetime under a law expected to be enacted next year. The move is part of a sweeping crackdown on smoking announced by New Zealand's health ministry on Thursday. A picture of pedophile Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell relaxing at what appears to be the Queen's Balmoral residence has been shown to a U.S. court. The undated image is thought to have been taken in 1999 when Prince Andrew reportedly invited the couple to stay at the Scottish estate. Ms. Maxwell is currently on trial for allegedly grooming teenage girls for abuse by the late Epstein between 1994 and 2004. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you for joining us. I think it's Thursday as it sits on the calendar, and it's the 9th of December. A lot of good things happen, as we celebrate not just this month, this year, the historical occurrences on these dates in history. But we want you to mark your calendars for next weekend on the 18th from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. on the waterfront. Cayman Christmas greetings. Christmas greetings from Cayman. Not just the artists and artisans, not just the small businesses and entrepreneurs, not just the opportunity to buy, one-of-a-kind gifts, not just to showcase and highlight the wonderful talent that we have in this country, to share in the food, the fun, the festivities, the fellowship with our families. We recognize that there's a lot that's happening. And some of it sometimes conflicts, and even confounds some of us, even myself at times. I'm wondering about it. But it's a way to sort of present in our minds that this too shall pass. And wherein history records, inscribes what has transpired, or maybe we will fall in the good column. Not so much the treasure that is stored up here on earth as important as there in the hereafter. Well, what is on your mind? 949-8037. Or toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. Or you can WhatsApp, whether it's a voice note or whether you want to send something across for us to read. Of course, we always want you to call, but the WhatsApp is available, 925-3261. Sometimes we think that the more access we have to something, the less we use it. The more opportunities to engage, the less we find it to be available. If a democracy is to be championed and protected, it has to be supported and nurtured. And it is for the people to avail themselves of these platforms to challenge and to champion, to question and to comment. But in doing so, to recognize that sometimes the people that need the most correction isn't just the wayward. It is the one that believes that he is so imbued with power and position and pay and prestige that he's able to do as he so chooses with impunity. And let's keep those minds in check. As we go to the phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling. How are you?
Very well. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas, dear one. It's been a while. Merry Christmas, indeed.
No, Merry Christmas. Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas. Happy, healthy, safe, merry, prosperous, blessed Christmas. How about that?
All of that in one.
All right.
Yes. I got two things I want to hit on. Sterling, up here by Hurley's and the gas station, where they're putting all those condos on the left-hand side coming down. You know what I'm talking about?
You said by the glass house? Sorry, a second.
I said by Hurley's roundabout.
Oh, yeah.
All those condos on the left-hand side of apartments. I'm not even sure what it means anymore.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I must share.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to put a lane in there, which they got it pretty much mapped out. But it looks pretty narrow.
Mm-hmm.
And Sterling, they are building some walls up there in the front of these condos to the main street. Unbelievable. We talk about the 7 Mile, how you can't see the water in the 7 Mile and so forth. All the beaches, all the properties is privately owned, whatever the case may be. But the fact of the matter is, we got to have some of that up here, coming home in the evening, going down in the morning. You can't even see the water, but you could see for some time.
Mm-hmm.
But just to see how they're building all of these huge walls out on the main street to, I guess, give them privacy, which is nothing wrong with privacy, but when you're building close to the road, you shouldn't try to do so much concrete, because we're not looking at hurricane, we're not looking at accidents and earthquakes and all of those things. If we have to, try to get through or save somebody's life or whatever case may be. And I noticed there's some building going down there in South Sound, and they're putting up these huge walls as well too. And I know that the planner had said that you only allow certain height of walls, I guess, here and there, depending on the density and the location, I guess. But when it comes to a private home, you can't have your fence no more than, I think it's on 6 feet or something, that category, which I see fence throughout the island, residential, is higher than 6 feet. But anyhow, I'm going to leave that right there.
Mm-hmm. But
go ahead.
As I listen to you, I'm seeing increasingly that we seem to have rules for some but don't apply to others. We seem to.
Thank you.
And it's unfortunate, because maybe some of the rules have been enforced against some people shouldn't be enforced, but those that they don't apply to, maybe they just know how to navigate around it. Or it could be, as men have alleged, kisses go by favors.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that, sir. I don't want to say it, but sometimes you got to be careful. I'm not when you say it. I know you say it. But it's true, though, Sterling. Seriously, some rules will apply to some people, which is sad. What is good for one should be good for all. But, I guess it depends on the dollar.
Yeah, seems so.
Yeah. Sterling, I was listening to the House last night on their last session and closing out and wishing the people Merry Christmas and their areas and so forth and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
and they listed the essential workers and so forth and so forth. There's nothing wrong with that, don't get me wrong. But I always wondered, not just, but when they said what I said last night, it brought more attention to me, because I've been thinking about it in various, from time to time, years gone by, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as they're wishing Merry Christmas to their people and all that kind of good stuff. Sterling, I know it's essential, and I know bus drivers and bus wardens are not essential. We're not common essentials, because they don't work those long hours that they do. But the fact is, Sterling, we are working with the future of these islands, taking them back and forth to school 5 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
and probably not being recognized to a degree. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And we are risking our lives just as much, taking these children to school with this virus going on, and every time it turns a new one coming out, and here you are, you want to preach everything, put your mask on properly, cover your nose, and all that kind of stuff. So our job as a passport, people look at that and, oh, that's an easy job. You're not looking for that. You can go and just sit down there and blah, blah. It don't work like that. At least not with me.
Mm.
I remember when Deborah McLaughlin and them interviewed me for that job. You know, she gave us a handbook, you know, and told us that's the privilege, and the privilege can be taken away. And you give respect to receive respect. And I've been trying that all my endeavor life on this job since I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy being a bus warden.
If I can ask you, and I think people like you who have such a love for the country and such a genuine commitment to our children in particular, and we don't have to engage a discussion now if you don't wish, but two things every time I think of where we are with our children, the way we present our education and the way our facilities are designed, managed, and the whole structure of the school day. Would you be open for just two quick questions?
Try me.
Okay. We title your position and like you know, bus wardens, right? You know, the warden synonymous with prison. And then we look at some of the schools where the one right down the road here from me in particular, I remember last I visited, you know, there are gates where it look like locks. You know, you move from one section to the next and they're all fenced off. And it reminded me of visiting prisons, where the prison yard. I'm wondering if we're consciously doing that to, you know, criminalize our children, whether we are so disrespectful to their future that we are doing it and not mindful of the psychological and social impact that we may be having on them, right? But in saying that, is it that the behavior of our young people on buses, in schools and the like is so bad that we need wardens? And if so, what are we doing to help them to understand, and especially their parents, because I'm pretty sure children do what they see, right? And the behavior, and you know, if that is what is going on in our communities, we have a bigger problem.
I thank you. You know, Sterling, I agree with what you just said there very much. Mm-hmm. And you know, I want to say this first. We take the schools every 4 years we use it for a political arena, and then after they get into the house, they are not fully 100%, as far as I'm concerned, remembered and being looked at the way they're supposed to be looked at. I think about 2 to 3 years ago we came out that everybody all the guys have to have their hair cut in a decent manner for school. And sneakers and no slippers, blah, blah, blah. Sterling, all that is through the window. I'm not saying that because of pandemic. That is craziness. People been moving around when this virus been going on, even though we had days to come out and days not to come out. You understand? So it's been thrown out the window as far as from what I can see. But Sterling, having all this fencing around the schools, it is inhumane to a degree, but Sterling, when the school is wide open, I would say it tends to get more traffic coming in every angle and it will cause some more security. And because then these people will come in there, take the kids out for lunch, or the kids will just go off for the rest of the day, or they'll come and bring them drugs to sell for them while they're in school. There's so much strength behind that fencing, that why they got the fencing to a degree.
Yeah, the fencing around the school to keep the children safe is understandable, but the fencing within the school where you're moving from one block to the next, even the terminology, right, and the movement, I wonder sometimes to what extent we are conscious of what that could be doing in terms of the psyche and the sort of psychological impact.
I'm quite sure it has some effect. I'm quite sure, because seeing it there, and then when you go to your house, you may have a fenced yard, and you feel so much more comfortable and relaxed because you're in your own yard now, and you don't have no fencing. You might have a partial fencing from the neighbors, but the front of your yard is open. You can run to the next door neighbors and go on the road and play all that kind of stuff. But you see, sometimes the children, they forget that they're in school, and school is a different discipline altogether. You're here to learn, and you got to discipline yourself, because when you got in the working world, it's not going to be like when you was home in your own backyard playing.
Right.
You learn to have manners and respect and obey rules and regulation and do as you told.
Well, I hear you, man. And this is why I think people like you have that love for the children, want to set the great example and want them to be safe and to be the best. So certainly appreciate you sharing with us, huh?
Alrighty. One more thing, Sterling, I just feel like we need to be more recognized.
Yeah.
Because they stand up there in the house last night and greet this one and greet that one, and nothing about the bus wardens and nothing about the bus drivers. We are out here too, working very hard and trying to keep our children safe.
Right. Well, that's true. And certainly we appreciate not just the impact you have, but thanks very much. Right? And Merry Christmas to you. And hopefully.
Same to you.
All right. Talk to you very soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, let's pause and take that break. When we come back, more Talk Today.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Following the storm of 1932, Cayman Brac, under the initiative of Commissioner A.W. Cardinal, engaged in several different industries to boost their recovery efforts. Sharks were actively fished for their skins, which were then shipped via Jamaica to New York. For perspective, one good shark skin over 35 inches could feed a family for a week. Egging became more common. The practice of egging meant traveling hundreds of miles to the Sorana, Pedro, and Morant Cays and collecting birds' eggs and then shipping them direct to Jamaica. The eggs would value at £4 per thousand, with the season record being 291,000 eggs collected. Cattle and goat hide tanning was also a trade unique to the Brac by the Lazari family in Northeast Bay. Its leather products supplied the sister islands and was exported to Jamaica and sold in Grand Cayman.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointments.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Are you planning a social, an office party, or event over the holiday season? Make the most of your holiday party and leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway Box to Go with the option of a 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. Cater your holiday parties with Subway. Visit subway.ky for menu options. Subway, eat fresh. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. We're a not-for-profit, member-centric plan with a democratically elected volunteer board of trustees representing all sectors of the Cayman Islands economy. Chamber Pension has an all-in expense ratio of 0.80%, over 16,000 members, and US dollar $463.6 million in assets under management. We were the first multi-employer pension plan approved by the regulator in the late 1990s, and today we are still strong, secure, and are here for our employees and employers alike. If you would like to join or request further information, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you.
20 years.
Remember when Crew Road had no median and Linford Pearson was only 2 lanes?
We do.
When Dirty Reeds was down the street?
We do.
We have been there for the falls, the growth, and the rise. When your body and mind needed to change, Powerhouse Gym has been here. We've skated with you. Your first date, your daughter's first time on skates, your son's first strike. From football to squash, to karate and hockey, to bowling and concerts, and everything in between.
For 20 years,
so much has changed, some for the good and some not so much. Through it all, King Sports Center has been here for you, for Cayman.
King Sports Center, celebrating 20 years as Cayman's home for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Are you seeking a job in the hospitality industry? Discover over 200 opportunities such as food and beverage, culinary, and pool and beach attendant at the Tourism Job Fair on Thursday, 9th of December from 1 until 4 p.m. at the Governor's Ballroom at the Westin Grand Cayman, 7 Mile Beach Resort. Attend the job fair with a copy of your current resume in hand to speak directly with employers at some of the largest and most popular hotels and restaurants. Registration ahead of time is required. Register at jobfair.ourcayman.ky. Take the next steps to finding your next job.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us in the studio, the excellent company to speak to Miss Faith Geely. And when I was just sort of thinking about our next segment, reflecting on Honorable Minister Bush's comments earlier about the talent that we have, and the passion within our communities, not just the acumen relative to business, but the intellect. And if you don't mind, perhaps you and men like you epitomize that sort of drive, that determination, those abilities, and then you showcase and invite people to say, hey, listen, I can do it. It's possible to be done. Please draw alongside. So thank you for being Faith.
Thank you for having me.
And it's incredible, I think, that within this very, very small community, that we can so easily and quickly recognize the great things. We can see the strides that we make relative to inclusion. And at times, those things that stand out are sort of magnified. But as much as we recognize it, sometimes we can kind of sidestep it too. So it's a two-step dance, but, is it salsa, is it baracacha? I don't know.
Yes. It's one of those things when we think about disabilities and we think about inclusion in society. I think there's certain ways that we have made huge strides. I think there's definitely ways that we can continue to improve. But then sometimes you reflect on, the Cayman of yesteryear and you realize that, we were already kind of in the right direction. We just needed to implement some more supports and maybe get that a little bit organized. So, unfortunately, I think it can sometimes appear like you're juggling 1 minute here and there and the next thing. But, as our society grows and as the needs grow, we have to grow with the needs of the community. And that's why I'm here to talk about HSA and the things that we are doing to make sure that we're providing a public health service, and not just public health in terms of vaccines and that sort of stuff, but just health services that are, publicly run, that are meeting the needs and committed to meeting the needs of our most vulnerable. And sometimes having a disability doesn't mean you're vulnerable, but it's just a commitment to make sure that healthcare and services are accessible to those in the community who need that additional support in order to make it an accessible service.
I think, too, for me, I'm always mindful that maybe one's perspective isn't necessarily shared by others, or they may not be conveyed and communicated in such a way that they understand the intent. Listening to as you share, I'm thinking sometimes that we may not necessarily have a sort of known and determined disability, whether it's sight or hearing or the like, or even physical mobility, but we may still be very vulnerable and not knowing how to access a service, not even knowing that a service is being provided sometimes free of charge. With great respect, the Department of Counseling, for instance, has an invaluable service. How many of us know that that's available, where it is, how to access it? So having these discussions should highlight that a person, maybe a physical, issue relative to being able to move from point A to point B will impede their performance, their progress, and their quality of life. So as we showcase that, we get people to appreciate that, it's all of us in this together.
Yes, and, the thing is that the law's definition of disability is very broad, and that's because it is the effect of your impairment on your ability to access everyday life. And so a lot of times we really focus on visible disabilities, but we have a lot of invisible disabilities that people may deal with as well. It's not just the sensory in terms of my sight or my hearing or my speech, but it could also be that maybe I have a chronic illness, or maybe I have some mental health concerns that are impacting my ability to lead my fullest life. And therefore, I need some additional supports and adjustments to the way that I can access things like health, like education. Family Resource is another great public agency that, the parent coaches and the trainers there, facilitators there, have done so much additional training over the past year so that they can provide a lot of support for parents of children who have certain disabilities. And I think that is beautiful because, like I always tell my parents, you are your child's expert. Right? You come to me because you think, you come to me because you think I'm the expert. I'm the expert in my field. But you're the expert on your child, and therefore, and you're the one who's with your child most of the time. And if we're providing you a service that your child is only benefiting only when they're accessing the service, are we really doing you and your family the best service in terms of making you be able to cope with everyday life, So,
And as I speak to you, Ms. Faith, that reminds us of the importance of us as parents, teachers, the coaches, the adults in the lives of our children, to be the best examples, to be that safe, nurturing hub for our children, to guide, to nurture, to protect, to provide, and the like. But oftentimes I wonder, and it's just me reading, learning, trying to be the best me, make the best contribution. We take the child who, for some reason, perhaps auditory, perhaps visually, can't see or hear what is being presented in the class, so we position it. But what about the child who has already come into the class, has read the chapter in the text, and is ready to move on? And what are we doing? I think to a classmate who, to me, is brilliant, playing sports, playing music, languages, and I wonder, have we really engaged him sufficiently? Are we now engaging him still? What's that impact? But maybe beyond that, the level of accessibility that we have. We think of the beach, for instance. Okay, there's a challenge with access because of the challenges in people's perceptions and people's own personal preferences as to how they should, exclude people. But not long ago, many of the elderly would have ropes extended into the beach to help.
To hold on,
right?
yeah.
We pay money and we sing fanfare to ourselves. I can think of one fellow who, I don't know, man, he seems to be just everywhere and anywhere and has little and nothing to contribute, but nobody gave him a good slap yet. But that day will come soon. It has to happen because some people just position themselves for personal gain without really adding a value.
Mm-hmm.
That in itself could provide a great impediment for others accessing it. So how do we make that balance, man?
Well, I think it's just as a society, as we change, in terms of theories of disability, there's two main theories. There's the medical theory and the social theory. And so a lot of times for medical professionals, sometimes it's really hard when you hear the negatives of the medical view towards disability. And in a nutshell, the medical view of a disability really focuses on diagnoses, treatment, kind of fixing the disability. There's something abnormal, there's something atypical, and we need to fix it or correct it. And whereas the social model of disability really looks at, there's a spectrum of normal. And who are we to say what is normal, right? and it is this view of, I love this term in terms of temporarily able-bodied people. So disability activists actually call what we would call typical people temporarily able-bodied, because the view is that at any given time you can become disabled. And so the focus is on what we call universal access and universal design. To say, listen, just by making something that it is accessible to everyone, it's actually going to benefit everyone. So it means that we're going to have stairs and elevators, or we're going to have ramps, or we're going, and those are, and a lot of the things that we need to make things accessible for persons with disabilities are things that everyone can benefit from. If you think about a class, we have a visual schedule. That's going to benefit everybody, not just the neurodiverse child, right? And so I think, like, as a society, as we start to transition away from that approach, and there's a lot of benefits to a medical approach. So I don't want to say like hospital is bad. No, that's not what that approach means.
That is not what you say.
It's just that is what the theory is called. But I think, we're definitely seeing where persons with disabilities now are becoming a lot more vocal about how they want to be termed, what will make things accessible for them, what types of treatments were helpful for them, what kind of treatments were not, how do you approach us, this is what is important to us. And so my department, so I worked out of therapy services, and last week we did a training on neurodiversity, which I just thought was amazing. And initially it was like, okay, we're all going to do it, but it's mainly for the pediatric therapists because you guys work with kids with autism and this and that. But like everybody at the end was like, I mean, it was a half-a-day course, and we could have easily done it full day, a week. Like, we were like, oh, this is so, even those of us who we felt, like myself, who were like, I'm pretty well versed on it. And then I'm like, no, there's still so much more we can learn. And it just really challenges you as a medical professional to say, okay, what is in the best interest of these people, and like switching the way that we're doing it rather than, saying, you have to do all these things. No, what can we do to make healthcare more accessible for you? And I think those are some of the positive changes that have happened at HSA, where we're starting to say, okay, we need to get some people upskilled on how to communicate. We need to start looking at giving our patients with aphasia cards so that we know that they communicate differently. We need to, HSA is expanding. So we have offices now in Smith Road Center. We also have offices in Baytown House. And so they all have elevators, and they all have physical access bathrooms. And so things that just make it a lot easier to navigate, to get in, to get out, to maneuver, and so it's those types of changes that I think shows HSA's continued commitment. Like even something as simple as our business cards, where I had a patient who was colorblind, and they were like, I can't read your business card. So like I called communications and I was like, hey, I didn't even think of this. And they're like, oh, we can totally change it. So we got new business cards coming that are the colors are done in a way that it's going to be a lot easier for someone with a visual impairment.
And that would improve everybody.
Exactly. And so I think as a as an organization, we're recognizing that we have a lot of learning to do, and we're committed to that learning, and we're committed to constantly growing our services. So community therapy, community physician visits, community nurse visits, where it is hard for you to get out, and transportation is a barrier for you to access healthcare. So what can we do? So during COVID, that really was a big catalyst for us to make a lot of changes very quickly to make things accessible for patients. So now when a parent says, I can't have a ride, my car broke down, you know, as long as they give me a few minutes notice, no problem. What's the email? We can do our session online, so we don't have to miss our session. You know, so we're doing a lot of these positive things through teletherapy, WhatsApp refills of your prescriptions. You can get your prescriptions delivered to you. We're expanding services in the district clinic, so you don't have to go all the way to town. You can access healthcare in your community in a safe setting. You can get healthcare access at your home or at your school, or we're meeting people where they're at.
It's about giving them what they need when they need it, right?
Yeah, and living up to, you know, our core values of, you know, providing caring service, integrity, excellence. All of those are core values at HSA. And I think, you know, all of the changes we've made over the past year just shows our continued commitment to meeting the needs of persons with disabilities in the Cayman Islands. We want everyone to be able to access excellent quality health care.
Talk about inclusion. Well, as we speak to Faith Geely, I mean, as you share now, I'm thinking like just today alone, right? 2 discussions. The first one, I did what I like to do, piece of paper and a pen that I can reference. The second one, I have this, you know, digital device, and one, it means that I have to look at it, so I feel being disrespectful. 2, I can't see this, I need to magnify it. So even making accommodations at times help. But as you were sharing, I was thinking, I wrote down, you know, universal access, universal design, as you talked about. I remember when the U.S. was introducing the American with Disabilities legislation in the 90s, the training and education came, you know, prior. But then I look at the Cayman context and ask myself, is planning, for instance, the fees, the little things that would sort of incur additional cost because you now made your doorways, you know, 3 feet, 4 feet wider to allow better access, not just the wheelchair, but maybe 2 people passing, one assisting the other. The turning radius within, say, the kitchen and the bathroom to accommodate others. That's going to make your space that much bigger. But at the end of the day, it's not about luxury, it's about convenience and safety and accessibility. Right?
And just something as important as, like, for example, if you have a bathroom that is a disability access bathroom, right? Something that people don't think about is the direction that the door swings. Right? Because if you're in a wheelchair and the door swings in and I put my wheelchair in, how do I get that door closed? You know, and so, you know, at the end of the day, we all have the rights to dignity, to quality of life, you know, and so it's making sure that we're thinking about those little details and just being a lot more mindful about those little details. And I mean, I could speak more about our therapy services department. You know, one of the things that we've recognized is the benefit for some people to get some long-term continued, not treatment, but input and monitoring. You know, and so we do have several groups. We have a group for Parkinson's patients. We have 3 different adult neuro groups, which are for patients with early to mid dementia, post-stroke, anything neurological. And so we have one for speech and communication, one for occupational therapy that works on your ability to do activities of daily living, fine motor skills, upper limb strength, and then we also have a physio one that works on your gross motor skills, your balance, keeping your muscles strong and healthy so that you can continue to have that quality of life and not deteriorate. Because a lot of times our elderly especially, you know, they'll recover from an illness and they'll go home and they'll just sit down, and before you know it, they just become bedbound, right? And we don't want that. We want you to continue to have that quality of life.
A body in motion stays in motion.
Yes. So we want to continue people moving, being healthy. You know, if you need stuff to say, okay, I need some adjustments in my home because I have become ill, I had a back injury or something like that, you know, so now things that were accessible to me before, like my bathroom, like my bed, are no longer accessible. Our occupational therapists are highly skilled in doing equipment assessments, and they're able to come in, look at your home, and make recommendations to you on simple things that we can change or discuss with you and your insurer and your physicians, some options that you can have to have modified equipment that can help make, toileting easier, dressing yourself easier. And if you think about it, if I'm able to get myself in and out of bed, if I'm able to take myself to and from the bathroom, it maintains my independence and maintains my quality of life. And even just in terms of our treatment as a team, one of the things that we've been really mindful of from birth through end of life is this treatment functional, right? Because you can easily go off a checklist and say, well, you're supposed to do 1 through 20 and you're not able to do 3, so we're just going to stay on 3. But it's like, if 3 is not really important, like, why are we working on non-functional things? The goal of intervention, whether it's speech, physio, occupational therapy, should always be about helping you function in your independent life.
Add value.
Right? So for a baby, it might be to help you play and eat, because that is what you would do functionally as a typically developing baby, right? And so how can we give you input that supports you to be the best version of yourself at that age? For a school-age child, it might be, we need to help you come up with some modifications so that you can write, or maybe we need to work on developing some alternative fine motor skills like typing so that you can access your school curriculum and participate in school, right? And then for our adults, it might be like, well, you had a stroke. And so I could easily sit down and do, puzzles and these sort of things just to work on the specific skills. But, for me, for my stroke patients, I'll say like, okay, you're struggling with spelling. Like, do you text a lot? Yeah, I use WhatsApp and I really struggle on WhatsApp. I can't spell. Okay, so we're doing our whole session in WhatsApp today, because you need to practice doing WhatsApp, because that's how you communicate with your kids. That's how you communicate with your friends. Yeah. And so we're taking it back to function, to looking, shifting from that non-functional intervention. And that is part of aligning with an inclusive approach to medical services. That is in line, yes, and that is in line with the social model of disability, in terms of you're still getting the services that you need, but it's all about your quality of life and your functional independence, and making sure that the intervention we're providing to you is not just for the sake of giving you a service.
It's not a checklist.
It's not a checklist. It's not just about, the billing. It's about making sure that you are getting the maximum benefit so that you can enjoy your best quality of life that is unique to you.
Indeed. All right, we're going to pause and take a short break. When we come back, we invite you. We have the excellent company of Ms. Faith Geely. She'll be with us until 2 p.m. We invite you to share your thoughts, because this information benefits all of us. It may be a family member that could particularly, have a much improved quality of life. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Savannah Pharmacy. Shop local and get a head start on your Christmas shopping. For ladies' handbags, clothes, shoes, fragrance, candles, and cosmetics with the newest Farmhouse Fresh line of skincare. For the gentlemen, clothes, shoes, fragrances, gift sets, and toys and games for the kids. Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs. And convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
A friendly holiday reminder. You can WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045. That's 929-5045.
At Subway, we caramel a lot about our customers, so we decided to give you 2 treats in one with the new Caramel Apple Cookie. Enjoy cinnamon apples, caramel bits, and salted caramel crunch baked in, and topped with a drizzle of caramel-flavored icing. Gooey, crunchy, and yummy. Complete your Subway sandwich, pizza, or salad with the delicious Caramel Apple Cookie or any other cookie flavor and dessert, available for a limited time at all Subway locations. Subway, eat fresh.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Kirk Freeport's $40,000 Christmas sweepstakes is back. Once again, simply spend $100 at your favorite Kirk Freeport store, and you could win one of 3 $5,000 cash prizes, one of 5 $1,000 cash prizes, and many other great prizes throughout December. All purchases of $100 before noon on Christmas Eve qualify for all remaining prize draws. And don't forget the annual Kirk Freeport Rolex watch prize draw for all entries, held on January 4th. Full details on KirkFreeport.com. Merry Christmas from everyone at Kirk Freeport.
Stay clean, stay safe, hey man. Reflection sells gallons of sanitizer for only $25. Buy 2 clip-on sanitizers for just $5. Reflections has the best KN95 masks or reusable cloth masks, and you can get 2 for only $5. Blue surgical masks and face shields are available for children and adults, as well as 10 and 50 packs of black surgical masks. Volume discounts available at Reflections. Jose's Rubus, Reflections Hemp and Tobacco, all 5 Liquor for Less locations, and Food for Less open 24 hours every day. Don't miss the Liquor for Less incredible priced better markdown. Hundreds of fine from $2.99. Cases of ice cold below wholesale prices. Save $10 off liters of absolute exclusively at Liquor for Less. Prices so low we can't say them on the radio.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. Please be advised that the pension contribution holiday has been extended until 31st of March, 2022. Employers and plan members should ensure arrangements are in place for salary deductions and remittance following this date. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan, keeping you informed. For further information, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. We're here for you.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And we're really grateful, for public servants, for people who are called to serve and who do with such passion. If I might, Ms. Faith Keeley, you, like many, thankfully, epitomize that. And today has been, for me, a very spectacular day because you're reminded of things that you're called, and you're reminded of things that you, could we say, lust, in a sense, It's an interesting word, right? I won't use it as Shasta did with his word, as he's talked about lechery. It's not that way. But there are things that we crave and we pursue without sometimes appreciating the reasons why. But when you have a heart of service and when you want the best for, this one and that one that could sometimes seem to be mutually exclusive, the idea is you want the best.
Yeah.
And you and your entire, colleagues over at HSA in particular, as part of the medical profession, you want the very best for all of us as your clientele.
Yes, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie, providing services during a pandemic, which is uncharted waters for all of us. I think, HSA, not that I was not a hard worker before, as you well know, but I mean, I joke with people and I say the past 2 years, I have probably worked more in the past 2 years than I did in so many years leading up to it. But it is, like you say, a heart of service, and that is one thing that I can say about my colleagues in my department, my colleagues outside of my department at HSA, like the genuine care that they have for everybody here in the Cayman Islands, you know, and I think having that support from the senior management who are like, we know you guys are pouring from empty cups, but we need to keep going. We know, but you're doing a good job, you know, and it's like, we, you know,
I think
we are pouring from empty cups, but it is worth it. And we find something to put in the cup every day to pour out more every day.
That's it.
Because it is why we're in it. We're not in it to make money, you know. We're in it to provide a service to the country. And, you know, and like I tell people, you know, I just, you know, people are like, oh, you've been at HSA for 14 years now and this and that, you know. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, you're going to retire there? And I'm like, probably, you know. I'm like, you know, but it's just something just so rewarding.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, I look at kids that I used to work with now who are, you know, I mean, this week I was like trying not to cry because one of my parents was showing me the video, one of my old parents, but you know, they're all mine, you know, but she's showing me the video of her son who's now in college. And I worked with him when he was in primary school, you know, and I just remember saying like, he is who he is, but he's okay, you know, and, you know, he just hasn't found his stride yet, but it's okay. You know, we're going to get there. And I saw him literally like just in his element, in his zone, shining, accepted for who he is at his university, loved for who he is, and literally shining, glowing, you know, in his talent. It's like, we are not all going to be doctors. We're not all going to be lawyers. You know, some of us are going to work with our hands, and that is okay. Some of us are going to, you know, work in academics, and that's okay. Some of us are inclined in science. Some of us are creatives. Some of us are athletes, and that is okay. You know, and I think that's one of the beauties about the neurodiversity movement and the social aspect of disabilities is saying, you know what, everybody's different. We're different skin colors, different eye colors, different kinds of hair, and we're different kinds of abilities.
But as you share that, I mean, we've heard, I'm sure, you know, variety is the spice of life.
Yeah.
How many of us, you know, we are a family buffet, and there's that favorite cassava cake or that favorite side dish that we like. But chances are we'll try other things. Now, we gravitate to what we like, and we get as much as we can. But it's the sampling of life. We take our vacations. We may go to our favorite fishing spots. For some of us, even that favorite little place, you know, Minister Bush earlier talked about Bacchus. For many of us, not just West Bayers, not just Caymanians, that is a place of solitude, of rejuvenation. But we may find other spots. So we have that variety, that choice, that selection. Just like individuals, you know, we count amongst our friends all sorts of people. They look different, they sound different, they're taller than some, but they add and enrich our lives. So with our abilities, I wonder sometimes though if the terminology and the labels that we assign to things challenge, you know, I even think of disabilities, and I know that we look at it, I mean, maybe it's just different abilities that we have. I'm not sure.
And I think, you know, in the next, I mean, things have changed so much in the past, you know, 10 years. And I think, you know, we'll continue to see it. But I think I've started to hear some people talk about physio diverse or physically diverse. And, you know, we talk about neurodiverse as people who just have different learning abilities. So that may be autism, it might be ADHD, it might be a learning difficulty. You know, it initially started as autism, but it is really broadened out now. And I just love it. I just love that term because I'm like, you know what, we're all different. And I love that we're just looking at it as a different form of diversity. You know, and you know, I think what's important is that having a disability does not mean that you can. And I always look at my mom, and I always use my mom as an example, right? And I can't help it because that's how I grew up, right? But even my grandfather, right? Because he had an acquired disability with his spinal cord issues and his mobility issues. And I remember, like, at the time, aging myself now, I remember sitting at the typewriter for him, you know, typing out these letters, and oh no, you made a mistake, and I have to retype the whole thing again. You know, and you know, I remember like him being such an advocate for like the blue spot and the parking and the this and that, you know, and it's just like, And I just remember, now looking back, just saying, my gosh, like what visionary people my grandparents were. That my grandfather was like, I'm not going to let this physical issue keep me from, he drove for many, many years. He got, physically modified vehicles so that he could go in and out in his wheelchair, that he could drive it with his hands instead of his feet when his feet weren't working anymore. I look at the fact that my grandparents educated my mom at a time when you didn't even educate, and they were ridiculed for it, and it's like, and then look at my mom now and just all the stuff that she was able to do. And I remember as a child, like hearing people say like, oh, social services should take away her children because she cannot hear, and then I'm like, okay, well now look at me and my sister, and so it's like, she didn't do a shabby job, and so I think, as time progresses and we realize that a lot of the things that we used to think before are no longer applicable. And so, we're grateful, from HSA to have the opportunity to come and just talk a bit about some of the services that we offer. I know time is getting on us. So,
that's fine.
I just want to remind people that we have the district clinics, and physicians and nurses can come out to your home if you're bedbound or you're vulnerable or have any issues, that we do have staff who can come out.
Those home visits,
who does home visits. Our pharmacy, you can contact the pharmacy, and if you're having issues, you can WhatsApp in your refill prescriptions, and we do have arrangements for people to get dropped off. We have a shuttle service, which is wheelchair accessible, so if you have a wheelchair or you have a mobility issue, our shuttle is able to pick you up and transport you to your appointments, or to take you from campus to campus, because we've broadened. We have our therapy services, we have our mental health, behavioral health services, where we offer counseling, psychiatry, we now offer behavioral therapy, and so we have so many things. HSA is just growing to meet the needs of the persons with disabilities in our community, because we're committed to providing inclusive health care for all.
And as I listen to you, and thank you for using your mom, because one, it just shows the grandparents' commitment, their courage, their acknowledgement of the importance of this person having the best of life as possible. But to your mother, not only maybe as a society having respect and doing things to ensure that we all have an opportunity, but she in turn, for me personally, she's made accommodations to help me to communicate with her. And I wanted a recipe. She's standing with me. She has her notepad,
her pen and paper,
and she's sharing with me so that I can understand. And that shows that not just the intellect, but the respect that she has for others, and obviously is deserving, but has. And I never forget the many times in the supermarkets where she's directed me to the ingredient I needed. She's written it down, and the penmanship. Wow.
And she can write fast too, and consistent.
Amazing, right?
Yes, yeah. So, and I tell people, obviously as a speech therapist, like communication is my thing. But like, I tell people, I always tell my families, like, whether they're young or old, whether it's a child or a stroke patient, I always say we value communication above everything else. So if they're not able to talk now, if they never speak again, is it fair to withhold communication?
Yes.
If the brain and the mouth are just not coordinating, and if we can use pen and paper, if we can do sign, if we can do a communication device or a core board or a picture board or, gestures, whatever we can use to communicate.
But isn't that the thing? As you share that, two people, let's say two partners, spouses, if they never communicate, that silence is probably the greatest punishment. It's inhumane. I would give you silent treatment.
That's the best way to punish me.
Yeah,
straight up.
Don't talk to me.
If you don't talk to me, you might I'd rather you stop me than not talk to me. It is like, my world is ending.
So can you imagine that person who has had now a stroke, God forbid, and they want to share,
and lonely, how lonely they are. So we have a lot more services that we're planning to add in the next year, and it's just, and I'm so excited about the stuff. We have so many ideas, so many things that we'd like to do.
We will get there.
Yes.
And when Dr. Erica comes back.
Yes. Yes.
I am mindful that some may take it partly because of how I may say it, not in intent, when I talk about the healthcare sector, the education sector being the true pillars in a society, not manufacturing or mining, not financial services or hospitality. And those are important. If you don't have a healthy, educated populace, we can't benefit from any of those things. We can't contribute. You guys at HSA do a phenomenal job. You and your team, the therapy services remind us of the importance of accessibility, of inclusion. And sometimes that disability that we have is only our unwillingness or inability to reach out and extend a caring hand. Ms. Faith?
And we're always willing to listen. So if for some reason you've had an issue with accessibility or, you need something, please just reach out to our information, info@hsa.ky, or call the main line. We are always listening because we're always open to growing and meeting the needs of people where they're at.
Well, thank you. And together as a community partner, we have to do our part to make sure. May I wish you publicly a very blessed, safe, and enjoyable Merry Christmas.
Thank you, and same to you. But I hope to see you before Christmas.
And I was going to say...
But just in case. And to you and your family as well.
All right. Well, thank you. We're going to pause and take a break. And then when we return, let me see if I can invite Susan to get into the mischief with me. I mean, who knows? Right, Susan? Yeah. Hey, heard what she said? All right. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service can now confirm the identity of the man found deceased at a residential address off Omega Drive, Georgetown, on Tuesday, December 7th, is John Michael Eden Chacon, 26 years old, of Georgetown. The RCIPS expresses condolences to the family and friends of the deceased. In international news, an official investigation into government staff parties is to focus on 3 events that took place last year. Downing Street parties on November 27th and December 18th, and at the Education Department on December 10th, will be examined for COVID rule breaches. Paymaster General Michael Ellis said any potential criminality uncovered would be reported to the police. Labour called for the Prime Minister to resign if he is found to have misled MPs about the parties. The company behind a 3D printed pod which can help carry out assisted suicide has said it is confident it could be used in Switzerland as early as next year. Sarco commissioned a Swiss legal expert who found that the machine did not break any laws in the country. But other lawyers questioned his findings. Assisted suicide in which somebody is given the means to end their own life is legal in Switzerland. About 1,300 people died there in this way in 2020. More than 40 camels have been disqualified from Saudi Arabia's beauty pageant for receiving Botox injections and other cosmetic enhancements. The contest is a highlight of the King Abdulaziz Camel Festival, where $66 million in prize money is at stake. Key attributes include long, droopy lips, a big nose, and a shapely hump. Judges used advanced technology to uncover tampering with camels on a scale not seen before, the state-run Saudi press agency reported. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
The community is reminded to ensure the proper disposal of used LFT kits. Place the used LFT and all items into the marked bag with the biohazard yellow triangle symbol provided with the kit, and then discard in the garbage bin. For more information on waste disposal tips, visit the DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky or their Facebook page or call 949-6696.
For information that matters to you, the people. Hear from the government, the opposition, independents, and other experts on issues and solutions that affect you. For the record. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, tune into 89.9 and 93.9 FM for Cayman's Straight Talk Morning Show. For the record.
I invite you to join me for the record. You are invited to be a part of this interesting and informative show. Embrace the opportunity to dialogue with your legislators, policymakers, and those charged with policy implementation.
For the record. Brought to you by
Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors.
Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. blood test, x-ray, and mammogram. All of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office. Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us as we invite you to be a part of the discussion. The phone lines are open. I wonder what song Miss Susan would play for us today. Did you like the one yesterday, Rise by Callum Scott? Someone would say, is he from the BRAC? I said, no, he wish he was. He would be even better, you know. But 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or WhatsApp 925-3261. I want to say a special thanks to the wonderful team at HSA and all of our players, if you can say that, in the healthcare sector, for us as parents and teachers to encourage our children to consider careers and go into the medical field, whether they're going to service the equipment like the MRIs and all of the, associated technologies from the radiologists and the like, in order to ensure that the physicians, as they order these scans, that the machines are working, to those who read the reports, to the physicians who attend to us, that we encourage that. But then there are also related fields, from the maintenance staff to the catering, to those in the admin, to even the legal and accounting. I mean, there's a role for them as well. As we go to the phones, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Oh, good afternoon, Dwayne. Am I on?
Well, depends. I mean, you're on air with us, but the question, are you on?
well, once I hear your voice, I know that I'm on, be careful what I say.
Be careful, little mouth, what you say, because Susan is not always at play.
You see?
Good to hear from you, my Billy. Good to hear from you.
Well, it's good to have a chance again to converse with you just a little bit.
Thank you.
Dwayne, I'm increasingly concerned about something I've called you about before, but it's again about the judiciary.
Okay.
You see, there has been a rule that has been issued by the Chief Justice in writing.
Mm-hmm.
That rule says that somebody named Billy Simamba, who is myself, must be subject to different rules when it comes to filing of court documents. Now, as I have mentioned to you before on OC's show as well, I've got this ongoing case. I've sued a judge and it's now going on appeal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Chief Justice has issued basically a directive in writing to all staff in the judiciary telling them that whenever they are dealing with any filing which is being done on my behalf, they should not just make sure that it is within the rules, but also that there should be a specific direction by a judge to say you should receive the documents. Now, there is no problem with the first part of that. I mean, everybody who files the documents has to ensure that they are in order, and the staff, if the documents are all right on their face, then the staff will receive them, and then the legalities will be dealt with later.
All right, okay.
So that there's no problem there. I mean, there's no problem him saying that. Actually, he doesn't need to say that because that's always the case. The problem is that in my case specifically, he has named me by name, and in relation to this specific case, he has said that nothing should be received unless a court gives a direction to say that it should be received. Now, I'll tell you what the problem is with that. First of all, First of all, is a factual problem. This has already had an effect on two of my filings. The first filing that I did, one of the earlier ones I did, was to apply for a default judgment. And when my Caymanian friends showed up to file it, they refused to receive it. And when they refused to receive it, it was referred from the desk officer to the supervisor, to the clerk of court, and finally to the Chief Justice. And that's how, in the end, it was received. Now, that is not the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
Then more recently, a week ago, I tried to file another document. This same Caymanian friend tried to help me to file it. First of all, I sent in an email to file it online. They didn't respond. I sent 6 emails. They didn't respond. At the end of 1 week, my Caymanian friend went there and said, "Why aren't you people responding to these emails?" They said, "Oh, we were not receiving the emails, or that we've got so many messages." Basically, I think they were doing it deliberately. They were trying to get me out of time, but it was filed. But let me try to conclude by saying this is unlawful under Section 19 of the Constitution, which says all decisions of public authorities must be lawful, rational, and proportionate, and procedurally fair. How can it be procedurally fair to say that different rules apply to me to make it more difficult for me to prosecute my case? That's one. But even more importantly, and this will be my last point, Dwayne, there is a prohibition in law in all common law countries, the United States, the UK, the Commonwealth. There is a prohibition against what is called a bill of attainder, or an act of attainder. The word attainder, you know it, but for the listeners, attainder is spelled like attainment, like to attain an award, but you just put a D-E-R at the end, a bill of attainder. What a bill of attainder is, it is prohibited. In other words, you can't make a law specifically to apply to an individual. And the Privy Council has ruled on that in a case in the 60s coming out of Sri Lanka. What happened there, some people were caught in a coup d'etat, an attempt. It failed. They were arrested. And there were some doubts about the length of time, the legality of the length of time they were incarcerated. So what the government did is they passed a law to automatically validate the detention, regardless of whether or not it was legal at the time, and then they made it retroactive. And then they also changed one specific rule of evidence, which was to apply only in that case to make sure that they are convicted. They challenged it all the way to the Privy Council, and they won. They said, you can't make a law of that kind. And what the Chief Justice has done in relation to me, isn't it similar to that? He has said that in relation to your case, in relation to you in particular, there will be a different rule applying to you. And I think that is really, really wrong. It shouldn't happen like that. And I'm just having a lot of problems in having confidence in the judiciary in the Cayman Islands because, Dwayne, without naming names, if this ever becomes public, I think maybe up to 3 judges will lose their jobs. The only problem is that it is so sensitive that a lot of the media houses, they have looked at it, they have not yet decided whether they should print it. Why? Because it is so huge. But all my evidence is all in writing, and it is hard evidence, and somehow I can't just get a judge to be able to decide my case. Right. But otherwise,
if we could ask of you, I mean, if it's possible, right? The whole notion of in other jurisdictions and in the Cayman jurisdiction, when issues involving the judiciary, so in this case, if there's a complaint against senior judiciary or even the heads and the like, how are complaints held, and who do you, for want of a better word, appeal to, complain to about procedural matters like this in the Cayman context?
Exactly. You see, in the Cayman context, that's exactly where the problem is. Because in the Cayman context, like in this particular case, I can't complain to the Chief Justice because he is the one who has given the instruction. Now, I can go to the governor, but the governor doesn't want to get involved unless it is something which would result in the removal of a judge. And I have tried that system as well. He has just said,
but do we not, under the Constitution, have one of those commissions that's supposed to be as they say, promoting democracy and good governance. The Judicial and Legal Services Commission, is that a body that would be accessible in this case?
No, it is in the discussion, and thanks for bringing it into the discussion, but it doesn't help either, because what happened, you see, in the 2009 Constitution, this is a matter over which I could have gone to the Judicial and Legal Services Commission and complained, because it had the power under that Constitution to hear complaints regarding all judges, including the Chief Justice. But what happened was the Chief Justice and some judges were not happy with that, so they had the Constitution amended in 2016, so that now if you got a complaint against a judge in the Grand Court, you have to go to the Chief Justice. But if you have to complain against the Chief Justice, where do you go? You got nowhere to go. If you got a complaint against a judge of the Court of Appeal, you go to the President of the Court of Appeal. I mean, what do you expect from him? I have used all these systems by way of complaint. They just don't work. That is why I am hoping that arising out of my case, we can generate a new movement. I'm working with a number of guys in Cayman now to generate a movement to say this can't work. We need to go back to a system where a different body is looking at any misconduct alleged by judges. Because if that system had been working properly, like if there had been a separate body, I have no doubt in my view that the judge I have sued, who is Mr. Ian Kawali, it's on the website, so I can mention him because it's public. I have no doubt that he would have been found guilty of misconduct, in my opinion, in terms of the documents. So I was forced to sue him when I found that in the law he was not protected if he acts maliciously. And yet, if the other system worked very well, I was not going to be forced to sue him. And that's where the problem is. There is need in this area to be able to complain against people. But related to that question, Dwayne, related to that question is that the Chief Justice doesn't have any rules which govern these complaints anyway. He doesn't have it. And I have asked him, do these rules exist? He denied it, but eventually he admitted that actually they didn't exist. I said, okay, if they don't exist, what rules do you apply? Because he condemned the Immigration Appeals Tribunal. He said that you people, you run a system that is opaque, uncertain, and prone to arbitrariness because you have never published your policy document which allows you to allocate certain points for PR. Now, they had a document, but just it wasn't made public. But he said that their system was opaque, uncertain, and liable to arbitrariness. And yet him, the person who made this rule, he doesn't even have a document, and he has refused to answer questions regarding that issue. I mean, to me, this is like the Pharisees in the Bible, who sees the speck in his brother's eye, but doesn't see the log in his eye. And I think that even government really needs to look at this, because I am the only one who has gone public and really fought this, but there are a lot of people. That's why I've got a lot of Caymanian support helping me to file documents and to try and craft some proposals which we can put in place. It is really, really unfair. A lot of people are suffering as a result of this.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. And I guess if we look at it and take away the personal side of things and seeing the policy, procedural, public importance of it. But thank you very much. All right.
Thank you.
All right. With that, we'll pause and take the final break. When we come back, we invite you to share your thoughts. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
We may be in Christmas shopping mode, but 'tis the flu season too. Savannah Pharmacy has immune system boosters for the entire family with a range of vitamins and supplements. Their knowledgeable and courteous pharmacists are always available to offer the best advice and products. Remember, they are always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
A friendly holiday reminder. You can WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045. That's 929-5045.
More ways to win big this Christmas. The more you watch, listen, and stream your favorite Digicel apps, the more chances you have to win from thousands of prizes. Enter to win the grand prizes of US $10,000 cash, US $5,000 cash, or a Digicel family pack with 4 smartphones and free service for a year. Simply listen to your favorite Christmas carols in D Music, watch movies in Play Go, live sports in Sportsmax, or connect with friends in BIP and join BIP Rewards channel for daily prizes. Claim your guaranteed prize every Saturday. Shake to win in the My Digicel app today. Digicel, better together this Christmas.
CG Britcay would like to wish our clients, their families, our staff, and our communities a happy holiday. In this time of celebration, let us remember what this past year has taught us. That we can be in different rooms, different homes, or on different islands, yet never feel apart. Because we are here for each other and stronger together. We look forward to the new year, to serving your insurance needs, and always putting people first. Happy holidays from our CG Britcay family to yours.
Stay clean, stay safe, hey man. Reflections sells gallons of sanitizer for only $25. Buy 2 clip-on sanitizers for just $5. Reflections has the best KN95 masks or reusable cloth masks, and you can get 2 for only $5. Blue surgical masks and face shields are available for children and adults, as well as 10 and 50 packs of black surgical masks. Volume discounts available at Reflections. Jose's Rubus, Reflections Hemp and Tobacco, all 5 Liquor for Less locations, and Food for Less open 24 hours every day. Don't miss the Liquor for Less incredible priced better markdown. Hundreds of fine from $2.99. Cases of ice cold below wholesale prices. Save $10 off liters of absolute exclusively at Liquor for Less. Prices so low we can't say them on the radio.
Are you seeking a job in the hospitality industry? Discover over 200 opportunities such as food and beverage, culinary, and pool and beach attendant at the Tourism Job Fair on Thursday, 9th of December from 1 until 4 p.m. at the Governor's Ballroom at the Westin Grand Cayman, 7 Mile Beach Resort. Attend the job fair with a copy of your current resume in hand to speak directly with employers at some of the largest and most popular hotels and restaurants. Registration ahead of time is required. Register at jobfair.ourcayman.ky. Take the next steps to finding your next job.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. It's almost the end of the show for today, but we have good things in store for you tomorrow, and I certainly want you to be a part of it. I'm going to take a couple of days off. I'll be absent tomorrow. I'll be back, God's willing, next Friday. And tomorrow's show is an opportunity to join the Gender Affairs Unit, or Catherine Miller will host us. And Rhonda Cornwell, together with Miss Carleen Bramwell, will be her guest. So some good things in the store. That's tomorrow, though. You want to be a part of that. Sunday, the Miss Cayman's Universe, Georgina Careford pageant is on. So, tune in and watch it. Many pageant buffs. So that's on Sunday evening. And as I say that, I'm mindful of the incredible talent that we have. Our very own Reba Dilbert continues to be an excellent and awesome ambassador on the design scene. She's over in Italy, doing the country proud, making all sorts of views and getting all sorts of awards in the design. So again, just like the Honourable Minister for Culture and Heritage, Youth Sports, Culture and Heritage and Home Affairs shared earlier, next week, Saturday evening from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., you get to see the artisans, the artists, the food, the fun, the fellowship, the families coming out on the waterfront. And there's so much talent here. We really, really need to respect and represent. We need to showcase and celebrate. We need to draw alongside and be respectful and responsive. Let's take one last call, and perhaps maybe 2 more or 10 more. Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Blessed, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm blessed too also.
That you are, man. That you are.
I unfortunately, have been so busy with work that I haven't been able to hear any of your show today at all, so I don't know if the topic came up at all. But I just wanted to offer my 2 cents. I wanted to ask one question about the tourism job fair that's happening today, right?
Right on.
And then offer my 2 cents about it.
Okay.
The question is, this is organized by the private sector themselves, correct?
My understanding that work, Historical Straightness, has been hosted at the Westin until 4 p.m. Today, they obviously wanted registration, and they're looking at particular areas. I think in particular food, beverage, culinary, and pool and beach, and there are representatives from a number of private sector entities in hospitality that will be present. So it's open to all who are legally resident here, whether employed or unemployed or underemployed.
Okay, but so it was work that initiated it, or who
yeah, I was under the impression that work spearheading this. There is the collaboration of the Tourism Association, the Ministry of Tourism as well. And through that, their respective, or a number of private sector entities, with restaurant, hospitality, accommodation, and the like.
Okay, all right. Well, then I guess that leads to another question then.
Mm-hmm.
The list of types of jobs and all that stuff that they included,
mm-hmm.
that would be, not all of those would require computer savvy,
mm-hmm.
wouldn't you say?
It would appear that, to do those jobs, no, you would probably be more interfacing with the public as opposed to, having to access a computer or to be, computer literate to a great extent. It would appear so, yeah.
Okay, okay. So then that leads me to my point, is that in order for someone to take part in this, I just heard the ad,
mm-hmm.
they would have had to have registered ahead of time online, which takes kind of computer savviness, right? Or
accessibility
or having somebody who's available and
mm-hmm.
able to help them.
Right.
Correct?
Yeah.
So then that puts a limitation.
Right.
On thing. I mean, that puts a barrier there for Caymanians to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because then you're weeding them out according to a standard that's not going to be required for perhaps the job that they're applying for.
Right.
And then you're reducing the number. To me, it sounds like a way of. I'm not saying it's intentional now. Okay. I'm not saying it's intentional.
It could just be an unfortunate occurrence.
This would give the effect that there would be less people that go there than should.
But two things, as we had a discussion with them, the representatives from work did indicate, one, their clientele, between 9 a.m. and midday today had appointments that they work with, and two, they made the public appeal that if there is sufficient demand, either through representations, the parliamentarians or others, that they would again facilitate another similar initiative. What you're sharing certainly brings to mind that in this particular environment we find ourselves, maybe out of safety concerns and similar protocols, having that level of sort of pre-registration would allow people to be, facilitated much more safely. Now, in the same vein, we have heard continuing allegations that, on one hand, the Tourism Association, like CEDA, would say, this is the amount of people they need. They don't have the requisite Caymanian population to fill it. And allegations abound, yesteryear as it does probably today, that they're not as accommodating to hiring local talent and prefer to, bring in others. So whether that's the case or not, whether it's something that will be addressed and remedied, we'll have to see where the champions lie.
Yes, I understand. I mean, And I always like the fact that you kind of throw, things on both sides and both sides of the picture and stuff like that. That's true. And I do get it that, pre-registration would be good, and for them to know, and then for safety side, that's all true. Can't argue with that. But couldn't it be as simple as a registration over the phone? Someone calls and give their name and information. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we tend to learn sometimes, and sometimes we do things that we are accustomed to that we find, easier for us. And it's not, as you said, just never that there may be the intent to deliberately deny people access, but sometimes it's the unfortunate consequence.
Yeah, I agree. It is unfortunate, and like I say, I'm not at all accusing anything of being intentional.
No, not at all.
I just think maybe more thought or thought from a different viewpoint could have been given. I mean, and I thought, and to be honest with you, the argument that CETA has always put forward about Caymanians is that they're not capable.
Yeah.
They're not saying, right? So they're basically saying that Caymanians are undereducated or whatever, right? And yet you make the requirement to be something that would have someone who is have a higher education, so to speak.
Right. Well, we just got a caller off air that relayed an instance where, not being as easy to access the technology to register had a liaison with work, and work was able to assist by interacting with the person as they did their online registration. I'm very, very cognizant that I think the team at work will go above and beyond to ensure that they serve the clientele. Your point certainly is valid, and maybe it's an opportunity for us to learn. We can call a number, we can provide, and then when the person shows up, of course, the environment in which we're in, you'll find people outdoors now in a very open, festive area, still wanting people to be fully masked up, because for them that's the safety protocol. For others, they might say, well, some good fresh air and some nice breeze blowing, it's not necessary. So we learn and we try to be respectful. But thank you, for highlighting that to us. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Have a wonderful afternoon.
You too.
Thanks, man. This is where I think working together we find that we make things better. Sometimes you've got to be willing to be, amenable, at the very least receptive, and cognizant that people may have a view that challenge the status quo, that ask us to look at why we're doing something or why we're doing it that way. Sometimes it's only by examining that we realize that we can justify it or we can improve it. Or sometimes we just say, we have to discard it and start anew. Too many times we're too arrogant and self-serving to appreciate that there are views that are better than our own. Sometimes we're so overwhelmed and caught up with it that we can't even think clearly. We're just trying to, tread water and keep ourselves from drowning in what is around us. Well, humility, they say, before honor. They say love, respect can go a long ways. Let's work together, because we're in this together. And as the students earlier this week shared, we are stronger together. Well, have a very, very safe, enjoyable, and productive rest of the afternoon. Thanks to Miss Susan, Miss Paulette, and Miss Norma for allowing me to take the day off tomorrow. I'll do Monday through Thursday next week again, God's willing. Play it by ear. Go out and try to enjoy what is, what is before us. I won't tell you what Miss Susan asks for when I'm off, but if I get it, I'll share it. All right. Join Miss Dorrit in the morning for the record. Join us for Talk Today right after the midday news. Remember now, I'll be elsewhere. But until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman.
The voice,
the heart,
the soul of the Cayman Islands.